Welcome back. The White House Government Transparency Task Force releasing new documents into the origins of the Russia collusion scandal this week. The declassified records showing the FBI opened an investigation into then Attorney General Jeff Sessions one day after President Trump fired FBI Director James Comey over claims Sessions made false statements to Congress about communications with Russian officials. Then, Democratic Senators Patrick Leahy and Al Franken sent a letter to Comey demanding the Bureau investigate Sessions for lying to Congress. At the time the probe was open, Sessions already had recused himself from the Russia investigation, leading Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein to appoint Robert Mueller as a special counsel into Russia collusion. Meanwhile, the task force releasing documents on another covert operation the FBI ran, codenamed Round River. It was set up to discredit corruption allegations against the Biden family as Russian disinformation. The secret venture began around December of 2019 during President Trump's first impeachment on charges of an inappropriate phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Joining me now is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Congressman Jim Jordan. Thank you so much, Congressman, for being here. And I want to talk about this FBI investigation, March Toll, because the timing is not coincidental. And we are just learning about some of these details. So President Trump is trying to fix things within the FBI because they're going after him on unsubstantiated reports. And so he fires James Comey. Then the next day, they go after Jeff Sessions because the Democrats couldn't leave the breakdown of the institution right where it was. They had to try to further it even more.
Yeah, and remember, even before that, when this all got started, was the Clinton campaign hiring the law firm Perkins Coie, who hired the public relations firm Fusion GPS, who hired the foreigner Christopher Steele, who wrote the bogus document called the dossier that Comey takes. He knows it's bogus. He takes it to the secret court, the FISA court, to get a warrant to go spy on President Trump's campaign. That happened, and then when people start digging into that and figuring something out, then it's on to this next thing. He fires Comey, and they go after Jeff Sessions, and then, as you point out, they launched this operation a few years later when a number of us are starting to dig into Joe Biden and all the crazy things that went on there with Ukraine and Burisma and his son Hunter Biden, and they run an operation against members of Congress and other people affiliated with or associated with the Trump campaign and the Trump administration.
Right.
That's how ridiculous it was. Running ops against the government. The FBI was doing this. Yeah, and on the Biden side, of course, it was Russian disinformation. Nobody wanted to pursue that narrative or look into any of the details. But when it came to President Trump, you needed a special counsel investigation where we did get more detail, which was helpful. But when you learn little pieces of the timeline like this, you see just how bad it was. Yeah, remember, so the Clinton campaign does that. Comey uses that ridiculous document to go spy on President Trump's campaign. 4 years later, they run an operation against members of Congress and members of President Trump's administration to try to help Biden win. So it was always designed to hurt President Trump and help his opponent win. It was designed to help Clinton win in 16, Biden win in 24, and then, frankly, you could say, or in 20, and then in 24, you could say, well, Jack Smith was designed to help Biden or Kamala Harris win and President Trump lose in 24. So they ran operations each and every time President Trump was running for office. Even as you uncover all of this detail, there are some advisors, like White House advisor Peter Navarro, who says you haven't done enough to investigate some of this weaponization. What is your rebuttal to that? We've done everything we can. We've referred people for prosecution. We referred John Brennan because we know he lied to us. We referred him 8 months ago to the Justice Department. We just recently referred Jack Smith because he lied to us. He said he only got the records, the phone records of members of Congress. He said he did not get contents of members' communications. And then we find out, oh, he went to the National Archives and got text messages between members of President Trump's administration and members of Congress. And he had that information and didn't tell us that when we deposed him. So he lied to us. We referred him. And we've also referred Thomas Wyndham, one of his deputies, for prosecution as well, because he tried to obstruct our investigation into this whole operation that they're running against President Trump as the special counsel.
And we're heading into the midterms, very crucial for the party. Americans are looking at gas prices over $4 a gallon. The president is still deciding how he's going to handle the Iran war and where it goes from here. The DSA is hanging on to this idea of affordability. They keep driving it home. They're winning some of their races. Some people say we actually shouldn't be wasting time looking into what happened in the past, but we should be focused on moving forward. Others say you need to do a little bit of both to balance everything out because the past is important for the future. But your thoughts on where the Republicans stand for the midterms on the messaging around affordability and trying to win some of the key races?
Well, I always say we make this job way too complicated. It's pretty basic. What did you tell the voters you were going to do when you ran for the office? If you win, go do what you said. I think we've done that. We said we would secure the border with the help of President Trump, and of course his great work. We've done that. We said we would cut taxes. We did that. The economy is moving in a pretty good direction, but I understand there are costs out there that are tough on middle class and working class families. We're working on that. But I do think that when you step back and look at the midterms, the real takeaway I think is going to be all the crazy positions the left, which now controls their party, all the crazy positions they're taking. I mean, it's crazy to defund the police. It's crazy to say you want to abolish ICE. It's crazy to say men should compete against women in sports. It's crazy to shut down the government twice in one Congress is what the Democrats did. It's crazy to have this sanctuary jurisdiction policy where politicians tell local law enforcement not to work with federal law enforcement when it comes to enforcing federal law. Dumbest thing I've ever heard. So all these crazy positions, not to mention the DSA candidates who said they don't like Thanksgiving, don't like football, and don't like fireworks, for goodness sake. So I think we need to show that contrast and remind voters we are working on the affordability issue while we have done what we said we would do when they elected us in 2024, namely securing the border and making sure their taxes are lower.
Yeah, and the Democrat Party gave the reins away to some of these people who are just going to the far left fringes and extreme. But then there are people like AOC who have been smarter about it. Now she's laughing off woke one because she might want to run for president, and she realizes there's not a national platform for that for her.
Yeah, there's not a national platform for not liking Thanksgiving and not liking football, for goodness sake. Next they're going to tell us they don't like apple pie and ice cream, which go together like football and Thanksgiving. So yeah, they can try to dismiss it, but the American people are sharp. The American people have common sense, and I think they see common sense versus the crazy on the Democrat left. And I think they're going to vote for common sense this November, and we will keep the majority and keep moving in the right direction.
All right, Congressman Jim Jordan, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.